Welcome back to the channel. It's LtBuzzLitebeer, and Starfield Early Access is happening next week. And at this point, the anticipation is at a boiling point, further ignited by Xbox and Starfield having a massive presence at Gamescom. And with that in mind, we've got a lot of new details, both from a GQ article and a lengthy QA session with Hines conducted by Bethesda Germany. And there were more than a few headline-worthy moments coming out of all of this, including Game Plus, Easter eggs, and an interesting quote concerning the main questline. Bethesda also released a handy launch calendar with dates and times, and we also have a short clip from Phil Spencer. I mean, honestly, there's a ton here to unpack, and I love putting in the time to research it all. As always, I wanted to say thank you for your continued support, as I've been posting regular Starfield videos to the channel. 150,000 subscribers is rapidly approaching. I mean, it's all happening so fast, but I always want to make time to say thank you. In case you haven't done so already, please hit subscribe and ring the notifications bell to receive my upload alerts. Likes, comments, shares are greatly appreciated. Chapters are there to enhance your viewing experience, and here we go. Starting this one off is this updated Starfield launch details, PC specs, and more landing page on Bethesda.net. Link in the video description. Now it covers the different editions and what is included, which at this point you're all probably familiar with. There's also a PC specifications breakdown, by the way, requiring the use of an SSD. And if you look over the specs listed here, these are not the lofty AMD requirements we've seen in the past, because I confirmed that these are the original PC specs first shown on Steam. And by the way, these are really basic. There's no real expectations, expected FPS, specifics for settings, just nothing. And finally, there is this Starfield global release times map showing city locations, time zones, and exact times you will be able to play either the early access or full live launch. And I've been reminding everyone in previous uploads that Starfield is based off of a midnight launch at UTC time. Now, since I personally live in the US East Coast, early access for me begins on August 31st at 8 p.m. Consult the map and figure out where your playtimes will open up based on your geographic regions. Once again, link in the video description. Switching gears and onto the first of two major interviews, and this one comes to us from British GQ, where they interviewed Todd Howard, Emil Pagliarulo, and studio director Angela Browder. Now, I've read through this one several times. It's a solid read, a bit lengthy but well constructed, just not overflowing with intimate game details. But it did give us a few nuggets of info, such as the fact that Starfield was actually codenamed Genesis while in production, jointly inspired by the Bible and Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan. Starfield has been in production for 8 years, and few studios other than Rockstar, whose Red Dead Redemption 2 were in development for an identical period, and the team at Bethesda used real positional data from the Milky Way to structure the game's settled systems. Pagliarulo went on to discuss the story of Starfield and how it made him question his own beliefs and faith. You see, Starfield pushed and pulled him from atheist to agnostic and back again throughout the development process. Quote, "We're tackling some pretty big themes that your average shooter probably doesn't get into. It's really affected me personally." Now, the article goes on to say that Starfield is the most immersive sim from BGS since 2006's Oblivion, and that some of the challenges faced to exploration included the fact that it spread across so many landscapes and planets. It's not the same as just dropping you in a world like Skyrim. There was also a nod to some of the influences, including Battlestar Galactica, Star Wars, and even Deadwood. There's so much context and description here in this article, and again, I'll leave a link to it in the video description, because the highlight that was probably picked out of all of this writing was the confirmation that Game Plus does exist in Starfield. Now, in case you don't know what NG Plus is, it's an unlockable feature which allows the player to start the game over after completing it, this time with such things as items, stats, equipment, etc. carried over from your previous playthrough. By the way, more on this in a moment, because Hines chimed in on it as well. And now is as good a time as any to transition over to the latest Pete Hines interview. And this one was live streamed from that booth attached to the Gamescom Starfield trailer. And Pete dropped a lot of interesting thoughts and details to the inner workings of the game itself as he engaged with the host and questions from the live stream chat. Now, quite early on, Hines explained that he's about 160 hours into his time with Starfield and, quote, the game doesn't really even get going until you finish the main quest, signaling that there is unique information contained within this quest line that could affect the rest of our time with the game. Hines further commented that this is his favorite BGS story and favorite ending to a BGS story ever. Later on, Hines explained that playtime with this game, like previous BGS titles, will be measured in years, as he gave a nod to Morrowind, which still sees large player counts some 20 plus years after launch. This is the kind of game where you log in for just a few minutes and 5 or 6 hours passes in the blink of an eye. There was also a mention of the incredible soundtrack and how Hines just likes to blast off into space and float there in his ship, letting the music play in the background as he just walks away to go do something else. He also spoke about this mentality of the game design itself, built around an ethos of play as you want to play, using as an example space combat. And if you aren't interested in just engaging in all of that, you've always got the grab drive option. Just activate that and travel to another system. Companions were also discussed and how, depending on which one you have tagging along with you, they could promote or question your character's actions. Using lock-picking as an example, if your companion doesn't feel that's right to be picking a lock, they could become judgmental, actually questioning what you were doing. Again, adding another layer of immersive properties to this living world that's kind of built around you. And one of the many areas that I found interesting is how Hines elaborated on skills and how they unlock and possible strategies to unlocking them more efficiently. You see, he mentions that those points do come slowly, and players should attempt to combo unlocks within using those skills next in the game. Say, for instance, if you're going to unlock a new piloting skill, plan on using it immediately in some space combat to then get it leveled up. It's not a system of, hey, I saved up 4 skill points, let me use them all together and just max out a skill. There's even an area to the skills called special projects, at least that's what he called it, and Hines admits that after unlocking that area and completing the challenges, it allowed him to build certain weapons and spacesuits, leading to him feeling like Iron Man. Now, towards the end of the interview, Hines really started coming with little mentions of new information, explaining that the Game Plus reveal is rather special. It is in the game, but it's laced with spoilers tied to the main quest, and it's going to be different than most Game Plus experiences. He also said that he doesn't think there is a level cap to our progression, so this game could just continue on to infinity. Easter eggs are confirmed in the game, and he has already found one in his playtime, and there are lots of creatures also in the game, but he's unsure to an exact number. He also offered up several tips for new players, including choose the boost pack skill early on because you won't regret it, and there's a museum located downstairs from the UC Vanguard recruiter station that takes a deep dive into the history of the settled systems and kind of the background of humanity and Starfield. He says it explains a lot. Oh, and finally, Hines stated that feedback he is seeing from PC players is that the game is performing well and players are pleased with how it looks. And to wrap this one up for today, we've got this short from IGN at Gamescom, as they got a comment from Phil Spencer, head of Xbox, concerning Starfield.
Okay, so we're super excited for Starfield. But
Super excited.
I am.
So I think I'm on my 15th playthrough. I'm probably 200 hours in, but not on one playthrough. Because we change same game formats, blah, 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 all that stuff. So I started in November, but I'm playing, I think on my final character playthrough, total space pirate. Man, I'm total space pirate. I think it's more Oblivion than Skyrim. For people who play, maybe they'll get that. It is an epic, epic game.
I'm doing my absolute best to keep up with the Starfield news as it just keeps rolling in. And how about some of the items we learned of today? Game Plus? That's a biggie. No level cap? And how about that last comment, that Starfield is more Oblivion than Skyrim? Leave me your feedback about any of this in the comments section below. Remember to hit subscribe and ring the notifications bell to receive my latest upload alerts. Likes, comments, shares are always appreciated. All my socials can be found in the video description. Shout out to the now over 142,000 of you that have stuck with me and hit subscribe. And a special thanks goes out to my patrons and to those of you sending over those awesome YouTube super chats. Until the next one, this is LtBuzzLitebeer. signing off.